All right, I'd like to welcome everyone inside North Hill Bowl for the 16th annual Morris Anderson Memorial Shootout. I'm Darren Sini alongside Ken Fletcher once again, and we do have our final five. They're going to do their warm-ups here. I believe they get two on each lane. And our final five are past champion Nick Heilman and Rob Warren will be our first match. Rob, on the heels of a 280 game in the position round, jumped from, what is it, 10th to 5th to be the 5 seed to take on Nick Heilman, his Nicholas J's teammate. In third is Dan Langer. Second is Jason Duran. And first, Brady Stearns. So that is our show. We'll be underway here shortly. And Ken, what have you thought so far?
It's been a heck of a day. Brady and Jason, they pretty much were 1-2 all day long, but going into position round, there was some action going on. I know we had Josh Link shoot 289 to bump himself way up, but Rob shooting 280 to jump 5 people. It's been an action-filled day. A lot of good scores. A lot of low scores, too. The way this pattern played out, but it's what you hope for. You shoot a good game and you get rewarded like Rob did.
Yeah, and that was a problem with this pattern all weekend was you had to put together some shot making to make a good score, but it was so easy to shoot the 150s, the 140s, or in my case, a 109.
Yep, I know that feeling.
So the way it worked yesterday is they had an 8-game qualifying round, and leading the way was Joseph Gorno with an 1802. So 202 over for him was the leader. The cut was Ben Godey at -2. So a wide range of scores for the qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, and even we thought that cut would be a little bit higher than that, and it just dropped off a little bit the last couple of games, I think.
And some other notable people that made it today. We had, past champion Matt Smolin in the field made the cut. Past champion Clayton Moore.
Dave Langer, I think, finished
past
6th as well. Just missing out on the show. It was even with a few of the regulars missing, our defending champion. Matt McNeil wasn't here, but still a lot of talent out there.
And now, speaking of Matt, this is the exact same pattern that they used last year. It's, I believe, a 2.57 to 1 ratio pattern. I believe it's, 41 feet, or is it?
I think it was 41 feet.
Like that. So it's the same pattern, and last year, Nick was in our first match, ended up running the ladder before losing to Matt in the final. So
yep. It's weird watching it play out back-to-back years, I guess, but I feel like it didn't break down like it did last year.
Right. A little bit different. Nice mix of people made it, including 4 lefties. I know that was one thing a lot of people talked about before the tournament. Was last year. Matt McNeil was the only lefty that made it. This year we have 4 lefties that made it, and a few of them fared pretty well today. Tracy Tofflin was top 10 for most of the day.
Yep, he, rough position round, but he still had a chance to make the show going to the last game.
So it looks like we are underway here. Rob Warren against Nick Heilman, Nicholas J's Pro Shop teammates. And they'll be going back to Wisconsin through the nice snowy weather today. So for those of you who are on your way home watching, do drive safely and hopefully everyone makes it back home. All right, here we go.
Going to be a theme we're going to see a lot of today. All 5 of our guys, I believe, are going to be staying pretty far right. You could play left, but most people looked like had success playing right today, and hence with the guys we got in the show.
And for those of you just joining us, please share the stream with everyone you know on social media. Let everyone know that we are live, and then pop into the chat room if you would like. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're watching from and who you're cheering for today. Again, 2017 champion Nick Heilman once again on our show here in Minot.
Wouldn't be a year without one of the Wisconsin boys on the show.
It's a good shot there. I'd like to take a minute and thank all the great sponsors of the event, as you can see along the masking units back there. A lot of money raised to make this happen, including quite a bit put in by North Hill Bowl. I believe like $12,000 they put into the tournament.
Yep.
So
gives you a payout like unlike most tournaments around the area, it seems. Couple nice shots from Nick to start.
yeah, Nick's making this pair look a lot better than it did in the position round. In the position round with Brady Stearns and Jason Duran, they struggled on that pair. So it'll be interesting to see what happens come the title match when those two are facing whoever makes it out of these next two matches. And I believe back when Nick won the title back in 2017, it was over Jason Duran in the final, if I remember correctly.
I remember Jason making the show, but that's blanking my memory even.
And those of you watching, if you could, let us know how the sound, how the video is. Like always, it would be appreciated.
Tough start for Rob with back-to-back split opens.
Dave Heatherly checking in today. Jesse Henderson, thanks for watching, guys. And there you see that pair is a little tricky, especially if you're trying to play the outer parts of the lane. I've seen a lot of people play out there today, and when Brady and Jason had their position round match on this pair, a lot of their early shots went nose, and then Brady switched to a purple urethane, a hammer purple urethane, and ended up getting a better look. But with the mix of reactive and urethane balls going down this pair, it's created a pretty tricky situation. You see Rob now going to the rack here to try to find another ball, so making an early change.
And you wonder if it favors somebody like Dan, who out of the five will probably hook it the most. I mean, not to say any of these guys can't, but I mean, he was playing a little bit more than left than anybody else, but still in that same area.
And speaking of Dan, he did beat his brother Dave in the position round by shooting at 243 on the pair to the left on 27 and 28. So when you're looking at the top five as to who is bowling well going in, you had Nick and Rob bowling big games to get into the show, but you also had Dan bowling a decent game. Then you had Jason, who had a 169 to lose a top seed in that position round. So it'll be interesting to see what changes he makes on the championship pair when the match gets there.
Yeah, and I mean, after a couple more games bowled, is it, what's it going to do for them too? They both, Brady and him, have to sit for a while. Oh, there's a nice break for Rob.
Oh, good move. Looks like he moved a little further right on the lane. Rodney Mills checking in. Thanks for watching. Couple good shots there.
Yeah, it just looked like he was trying to play a little bit more direct, almost. Something that's not quite pushing as far right as the first couple shots were.
Comes in. Got away with it.
Past champions break right there.
And a nice wry smile for his teammate there.
It's always fun to throw those against your friends, too.
Yep. And like you said, past champion carry, that's got to be a thing here now that we have 15 of them in the books already. I'm working on our 16th shootout.
And another one. Yep. Nick knows he got to come away with a couple there, but
Oh, what can you do?
take what you get.
Yep. On this pattern, I'll take that all day.
Would have taken a few more of those yesterday myself.
Yes. So again, we're in our first match here today. The winner will take on Dan Langer. Number 2 seed Jason Duran and number 1 seed Brady Stearns. So stay tuned. Please share with everyone on social media. Let everyone know we are live. If you are going to have to miss any of the show, it will be on our archive on YouTube. So don't be afraid to look it up at a later date and watch the rest of the show. And you can hear Jeff Craig in the background there, the tournament director.
Always a shout out to Jeff and Rory, who do a fantastic job every year.
Yeah, the entire staff at North Hill Bowl, you know, they used 38 of the 40 lanes yesterday in qualifying, and I can't remember of a significant breakdown throughout the whole house. So
no, not a one.
Shout out to Bobby Ballard, the mechanic here, and everyone that upkeeps North Hill Bowl. It was a great tournament. Come try it out if you guys are watching.
Highly suggested if you want to see where you stand. This is the tournament to go to.
Well, unfortunately for Nick, that 300 game pot does not apply here.
It's too bad, isn't it?
For those of you who don't know, there is a $300 game pot that Farmers Union Insurance has been giving $300 the past few years. And that pot has not been won, and it did not get won yesterday. So next year, I believe it will go to $2,400.
Yep.
And with the kiss of death from the booth, that ends it for Nick Heilman.
I think he's happy with that, too. You don't want to waste everything in one game.
But I figured the second I said something, it would be over. But.
Always. Got to jinx somebody once a show. But all you got to do for Nick, just fill a couple frames and think about the next match at this point.
Yeah, unfortunate for Rob that he had those first couple frames and didn't have the rock he's using now, because he's got a pretty good look with that.
Yeah, and you think even if he, that 4-9 in the second frame, he marks that up, carries that 10 pin in the last frame, and, there's still a match there. But that's the way the breaks go sometimes. And kudos to him for, even making the show with where he was through 9 games. It's another good shot there.
Yeah, made himself a lot of money shooting the 280 that last game. So would like to mention too that this year Jeff Craig and the staff decided to make the first place prize $4,000 and then spread out what was a $5,000 top prize amongst the rest of the competitors that advanced to day 2. So a pretty cool thing they did, so it helps out most of the other people that made the cut today make a little bit more money, and it's not so top heavy, as you would say. So I think that was a good move on their part.
I totally agree with that. Coming from somebody who doesn't make cuts, I'd just be happy to make anything I can get. But
Right. But the thing is, too, is when you make the cut, now you're doubling your entry fee essentially.
Yep.
And so by spreading out that money, you're helping out the guys that don't necessarily bowl that well on day 2 and just didn't have a good day, but they're still doubling their entry fee, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the the one I made, it's nice to get more than what you came in with. So shout out to them for doing that. I'm all for it personally. Interesting.
Yeah, Nick trying a few different options here now that he's got the match in hand. So,
get ahead of it. I mean, he threw first 7 strikes, but you've got time to fiddle around a little and see what else you got. You never know how long your reaction's going to stay out there.
That's good ball reaction from there. So maybe in the later matches he's going to have to make a move. At least he knows where he's going to go. He's got an idea of what the middle of the lane does. So for those of you watching, if you're ever in a match play situation, take notes on this here. You're up in the 10th, you have the match in hand. Move around, try a few different lines. So when your comfortable line starts to go away, you have a place to go, and you're confident throwing that shot.
And for number 2 seed, just checking out what's going on here too. It's also another veteran move. Too many people, you move pair to pair or even in a step ladder, the higher seeds. It's a smart thing to check out what the lanes are doing.
Not to mention that number 2 seed Jason Duran was on a U.S. Open telecast at one point back in the early 2000s. So he's been here before.
Yeah, absolutely. Was it a U.S. Open or was it the Masters?
One or the other. It might have been the Masters.
I think it was the Masters, but regardless, I mean, to make a major show in a PBA tournament, that says a lot about how good you are. So, veteran move by him to see what's going on down here.
Yeah, one of the more methodical bowlers is Jason, and so when he gets onto our show again, it'll be good to see kind of how he acts, because all these guys have been there, but he goes at it a different way.
He does. It's he said it's methodical. It's very meticulous. I bowled next to him all day yesterday. Same routine every frame.
Very solid bowler, and you could watch the 2017 show on our archives as well that featured Jason and Nick in that final. So that'll do our first match. Nick Heilman, 267 over Rob Warren's 205. Next up, Dan Langer coming in out of the Minneapolis area.
Another guy we're pretty familiar with. I think he's made a show or two in the past few years.
Yep. Well, while we have a quick second between matches, we do want to remind everyone to stay connected to NDBowling.com on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Please subscribe to the YouTube page. That does help us out a lot. And a big thanks to the folks at Ebonite, the official bowling ball sponsor of NDBowltv, for the 5th year in a row. So big thank you to them. And again, we are at North Hill Bowl in Minot at the Morris Anderson Memorial Shootout, our quarterfinal match. Coming up next, the winner here will take on Jason Duran in the semifinals. Brady Stearns waiting in the wings here as a top seed. Brady did make the show last year as well, and did fall to Nick Heilman, I believe, because Nick ran the ladder and then lost to Matt McNeil in last year's show.
What I believe was actually one of our better matches that we've seen, if I remember.
Yeah, that show featured the champion Matt McNeil. AJ Chapman was on that show.
Yep.
Who is also down in the PBA events in Lubbock. And then the other qualifier was Dale Newton.
Oh,
he was
yes.
the 5th seed, or the 4th seed last year, whatever he turned out to be. And last year he was the number at number 30,
yep.
And this year he was the 3rd alternate at 33. So consistency for Dale Newton. Unfortunately, he was on the wrong side of it this year.
Yeah.
but good to see Dale out bowling again because I know he had health issues in the past, and it's good to see him out and healthy once again.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, we had a good mix of female bowlers out here yesterday, youth bowlers out here yesterday, including a couple youth bowlers that bowled
Pretty well.
pretty well. Jamie Craig finished 34th, just missed the cut, and Clayton Reed was 47th, so pretty good showing for them.
It's impressive up here, for sure.
Especially considering you and I are always on the back page.
Yeah, most of the time.
So one of these years we're going to make the cut. So
Hey, that's why we do this instead, though, right?
hey, you can do both.
That's true.
That happened down in Fargo one year. I had to bowl on day 2 and then
Yes,
ran
you
over
did.
here and we did the show.
Yep.
And speaking of that show, that'll be our next NDBowltv show. We'll be down in Moorhead on, I believe, March 3rd.
I think you're right.
The first weekend in March for the NDBowling.com Classic. So tune in to that one. And again, quarterfinal match, Dan Langer, Nick Heilman. Good shot there. Good way to start. And this is one of those things too, you know, you're coming into a match where a guy just shot 260 on this pair. You're given 2 shots in each lane.
Yeah. And
So
evidently Nick liked what he oh, maybe not.
oh, just kidding.
That's
Little deke there.
that's kind of indecisiveness I usually have.
Or maybe he was just trying to throw us off here in the booth. And maybe that's why he was trying out that other line, because he did trip out the 4-9 at one point.
Yep.
And the other one on lane 30, he had that nose hit that carried. So
Yeah, you can said even with back to position round match, you could see it starting to get a little squirrely out there. Now Nick did said 260 the last game, but you know he's a smart guy and he'll go with what's best, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him go to the other one in this frame.
and what's tough about this situation is the fact that you have to almost be ahead of the moves, because if you're too late, you have one game.
Look
you know?
look at what Rob did last game. You know, he still shot 205, I believe it was, and you know, a lot of matches that would be good enough to win. And again, right on cue, Nick picks up the other one, and it looks like he's going to move left.
It's got a hook. There's a nice spot out there, so
Yeah,
he's got a little room.
This could be interesting to see what Brady and Jason do in the next couple matches.
Ooh, little flat hit there, but was fortunate enough to get the 7 out.
Yeah, it's been kind of a common reaction right there. You know, you had miss room right if you were soft enough for most of the weekend, but it was whether or not you could kick out those corners like that.
And that's what was tough about later in the qualifying block yesterday, is the right side had to move left, and it was so hard to get the ball to face up the right way to carry the corners. And they didn't really have to go through that today until around now. It's starting to break down to that point where they're playing a little further left. So interesting to see how this progresses in our telecast here. Shout out to Scott Endersby, defending champion at the K-Fire. So we'll probably see you next week, hopefully, to defend your title there in Mandan.
And as we say that one looked okay and jumps high on him.
And it's interesting that both of these bowlers have now kind of migrated towards the middle of the lane, because I do believe both Jason and Brady are still going to be playing right.
More than likely, although later in the day yesterday, Jason definitely was inside hooking a lot of the lane. So he's more than capable, and as he's starting to loosen up over there, you can see him just on the edge of our screen throwing. And I can't imagine he doesn't try out inside. if he's paying attention to these guys. So, yeah, we'll see what they all decide to do.
I do believe Brady's going to be throwing urethane, which all depends on kind of how this pattern breaks down on this pair over these next couple matches, and hopefully he can learn enough in his 2 shots on each lane to make the right choice. That's always the toughest part about being the top seed.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, again, he's more than capable to get in and hook it with these guys. You know, shot 900 last year. I think that says enough right there.
A question here from Felix Garcia, who are the top 2 seeds. Jason Duran out of Colorado, I believe, and then Brady Stearns out of Minnesota are the top 2. Brady is the top seed, so nice shout out to NDBowling.com teammate too, Tad Schmidt. Thanks for watching.
Always fun to see Tad.
Yeah, we'll probably see him next weekend in Mandan as well. And a quick reminder that the tournament next week will actually be broadcasted in Western North Dakota on the local NBC station, so NDBowltv will not be there. So if you're looking to watch that, if you're in Western North Dakota, please tune in at noon on Sunday next week to your local NBC station for that. Ken and I, however, will be back in March for the NDBowling.com Classic right here on NDBowltv, so tune in for that first weekend in March. Hopefully see you guys out there to bowl the tournament as well.
Always a favorite of mine. Back in my home house, whereas we're in yours right now.
That's right. Thankfully, on a day like today when it's snowing and blowing snow out there, I'm glad I can drive half a mile to my house right now after this.
Yep, and I get the fun, who knows how long of a drive home today.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's a few guys driving home that bowled the tournament and are watching our live feed. Please drive safe, and hopefully everyone makes it home all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And same with the competitors here, because all of our guys that made the show have to travel, so it's a good shot there for Dan. Puts up a nice double up on the board. Yeah, shout out to Joe Scott. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you today. Again, if you're watching, please share with everyone on social media that we are live. Shot looks in. He's got room with that line.
He looks like he has some pull room. I don't know if he has any push room, though. I mean, if he misses right, it seems like it's not quite recovering. You know, the 10-pin in the last frame, kind of evidence, I think, by that.
But that second frame, he did leak it a little right, and it recovered. It's just a matter of carry, so.
Yeah. So where Danny definitely has the miss room right. And I wonder if 29 is starting to hook a little bit.
Yep.
Kind of see a couple shots starting to creep up. You know, the 6-pin Dan left. That right there looked pretty good and just picked up a little early. And I have to comment. It's funny that I'm not going to say Nick falls out of the shots every now and then, but, you know, footwork where he kind of loses balance, but his arm swing is so good that everything is just straight. You know, and that's something I think we could all strive for.
And it's a testament to his spare game, especially on NDBowltv. I believe last year he had 5 clean games bowling on our show before losing to Matt McNeil in the final.
Yep. Ooh.
Big shot there for Dan. He's looking to take control in this match now. Shout out to Mike Guthrie. Thanks for watching on your way back home from Vegas. They were out at the military tournament, so hopefully you guys bowled well. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday at League here in Minot. Always a big tournament that I know a lot of the locals are from around here at the Air Force Base go to, so.
Yeah, I know multiple people down in Fargo that go.
Oh, Dan Langer up now, take a commanding lead in this match.
It's got to push a little. Trips out the 4.
Trips a 4. I thought he got a little slow on that one.
Yeah, you could see him kind of pull up just at the end and maybe just enough to keep it on line.
And now is that the whole trying to make sure you have the ball face up and get the corners out, where he's trying to make sure he fits the ball into the pocket, so to speak?
Probably a little bit. Oh, that's not good. I think Nick will take that 7. I think so. I definitely caught that some yesterday where, you think you throw a good shot, but you just didn't quite catch it, and it goes 60 feet, and I'm missing the head pin. So a lot of these guys, you see them making sure that they're getting enough at the bottom to get it to face, but, stuff like that then happens.
Yes, this pattern has been very speed sensitive this weekend, and it was last weekend. It was not last weekend, but the 10-game marathon. It was the same way. Last year, it was the same way. A very speed sensitive pattern. So I know a few shots yesterday I got a little fast on, and they have no chance.
Yep. Which is interesting. You think about the guys that made the show. They're all, I'm not going to say they throw the ball slow, but, their ball speed is definitely down. That looked like a move left from Nick there, and that was pretty nice.
Yeah, although the old saying goes, let the ball do the work, and all these guys on the show do that. So
Absolutely. It's hard to read a pattern if you're throwing it through the pattern.
That's true.
Which I'm extremely guilty of sometimes.
I think we both are. Well, I think Dan smells blood in the water here, so. It's going to hook.
And he gets away with another one on that lane. I think that's 2 in a row where he looked like he threw it a little right of where he wanted, and the hands behind the back are always a telltale sign.
And that's probably why on 29 on the last frame he tried to make sure he was a little slower and let the ball do the work and tripped out the 4. So take advantage of your break. So that's what you have to do in this game.
This is a big shot right here. Strike. And all he has to do is mark in the 10th frame to shut out Nick, assuming that Nick even strikes out.
Yeah, Nick can punch out for 236. So
looks pretty good. Yep.
Yeah, and that puts Dan already in the 220s, 230s. So
still the outside chance of a tie. Not that we've ever had one.
Yeah, imagine that, Ken Fletcher. Speaking of the tie.
Yep.
I was wondering how long it would take you. Usually it's the first game you're talking about it, like the 5th frame. So.
Well, I mean, you have to sometimes. Good shot from Nick. Nick throws all 3 in the 10th here for 236, forces a mark. A 9-0 would be a tie. Yes, you can laugh all you want at that.
And a shout out to Gerald Borho. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you like the new layout here with the scoreboard and everything. Helps a lot. That means we don't have to talk about the score.
Is it going to hook?
Looks like he came out of that one a little flat.
Yep. And that'll pretty much do it for this match.
So Dan Langer will move on to take on our number 2 seed, Jason Duran, in the semifinals.
And with that, we will have our 15th different champion in 16 years, correct?
We will, yes. Because neither Dan, Jason, or Brady have won the tournament. Only Matt McNeil has won this twice.
Still another good showing from Nick. I wish I could count how many shows he's made here, but
yeah, his record on NDBowltv at the Shootout is pretty good. Having won the 1 year and then going 4-1 last year, or to be 3-1. Yeah, it'd be 3-1.
And I know he's made other shows besides that here too, so shows that say he likes this house a little bit.
That's for sure. So a good showing for Nick, 214, another clean game. It's kind of what we're used to with Nick on NDBowltv, so
yep.
Just couldn't find enough strikes there. Couldn't carry enough to keep up with Dan, so.
It's funny coming off of that position round, what what they're shooting right now.
Now we have a question here on what's the payout for the top 5. I do know the top position is $4,000. Rory, let's see if we can get a hold of Rory here and get a payout sheet.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, 2,500 for second, 2,000 for third. After that, I'm not positive, but I'll see if I can flag Rory down quick.
Yeah, we'll get a payout sheet here in a second. And while we wait for that, and Dan is going to finish up here, see if he kind of tries anything out.
Yep, 4,000 for first, 25 for second, 2,000 for third. Nick just took home 1,500 for fourth, and Rob took 1,000 for fifth.
So like always, they guarantee that $1,000 to make the show here at the Shootout. So, and they just took that 1,000 off the top to spread it with everyone else. So 4,000 is the winner's share this season, and a couple crystal trophies are sitting over here to our right, along with a big check, cardboard check. Probably not the one they want, but
it's always a fun one to have wherever you decide to put it.
Yep. So now Jason will come in here and take his warm-up shots, which will give us another moment here to remind you that you're watching NDBowltv, the High Plains Bowling Network. I'm Darren Seeney alongside Ken Fletcher. Calling the action. We will be live in Moorhead in 4 weeks, so please subscribe to the channel so you know when we go live. Big thanks to Ebonite, the official bowling ball sponsor of NDBowltv. And again, you can stay connected to us on social media. And earlier we had a quick look outside, and this is earlier here in Minot. A little snowy. So those of you traveling home, please be careful. Well, Ken, what do you think is this match has in store now? I mean, both matches have had a 260 from Nick the first game to win, and now Dan throws up a 258.
Well, I think Jason's going to have to get something together really quick from the look that Dan had. I mean, he's more than capable. I mean, he's made it here before, so he knows what it takes. It's just a matter of execution and, finding what you can.
Yeah, looks like he's playing pretty far right, so trying to belly it a little bit. It's a decent look. That's always the hard part being in a step ladder, is when you got to come in here and you get 2 shots on this pair where a guy had just bowled a full game, and especially playing a good player like Dan who just threw up a 258, and now you got to fish somewhere on this pair to try to give yourself what you would think is at least a 220 look to compete in this match.
Yep. And I'm surprised he's not, at least trying to move a little left and see what he has, but, straight has worked for him all day, so.
Looks like a pretty good look there.
It looks good in those couple shots, but, you'd think you would want to at least maybe give it one test shot, especially to somebody like him who's as, meticulous and pays attention to what's going on.
And, as a reminder, we weren't live for the position round, but Jason did bowl Brady in the position round on this pair and had 169, was that it?
Yep, it's high 160s.
And as a result, he did lose the top seed. And now, is that a corner shot just to kind of help himself out a little bit with hold?
Maybe. I think it was probably just more of a, just getting it under your belt, You worry so much about, your strike ball that sometimes you forget about shooting a spare shot, and
Yep, and it's all about muscle memory on spare shots. So having that shot under his belt is probably going to help him if he were to leave a couple corner pins. And why burn up your line? He threw 2 good shots on both lanes.
Yep.
Why burn it up? Might as well practice a spare shot. So we're underway here. It looks like Jason's going to start us off on 29.
As soon as Stu can get the names correct.
Yeah, big thanks to all the volunteers and the staff here at North Hill Bowl, scorekeepers, whatnot. Did a great job yesterday on everything and the bracket payouts and everything. The banquet last night at the Clarion Hotel was again very good.
Yep.
Big thanks to Clarion as one of the major sponsors here, as you can see back on the masking units. So big shout out to them and all the other sponsors you see. Yeah, looks like Stu may have put a name in incorrect.
Oh, spelled his name wrong, I think.
Oh, actually, he's moving them.
So, okay.
So I think Dan's going to start us on the left lane. It is Jason's choice as a higher seed, so
I'm always curious to what people's thought process is going into a match, you know, like Jason coming in. And I know we've spoken about this before with, you know, in our youth tournament that we do. I've talked about it with Walter Ray a couple years ago. You know, what's the thought process? Do you look at ball reaction? Do you look at somebody else's ball reaction? You know, what goes through your head to choose which lane you would rather be on in this kind of situation?
I've always been a proponent of first looking at what lane I like better, and after that, if both lanes are pretty much the same for me, I'll watch my opponent to see kind of what lane they liked in a previous match. And then after that, it comes down to, do you want to finish the match first, or do you want to step up and know what you need to win?
Yep.
So a lot of different mindsets there. I don't think you're wrong either way.
No, and I know it's all a lot of, you know, who likes what. Careful.
Oh, hard way.
Makes that the hard way. Yeah, you know, it's all a matter of what you prefer. Some people, you know, they'd rather just go out there and finish the match first, regardless of the look. And, you know, if that's what you like, that's what you like. But it's one of those things, like I said, it's always a fun thing to hear about what other people like and do.
And that right there was exactly what Jason was seeing in that position round, where if he got the ball, if he didn't give it that little bit of belly on the ball towards about 7 board, it would check up and go nose. And both him and Stearns actually ran over that in the position round, and then they made changes where Stearns went to urethane, and we see him over on the practice pair now playing in with reactive. So it'll be interesting to see how this progresses here.
It'd be interesting if Jason does take a shot at the middle of the lane, or if he, you know, tries to stick with what he's doing.
Again, this is Jason's second appearance on NDBowltv. Made our show 2 years ago.
It's a little bit of a move.
So again, you get the biggest part with this pattern this week, and it's what I talked to a lot of people about last night, was you could get to the pocket from so many different angles, but the key was to keeping your break point in a certain area of the lane. And however you had to do that, whether you played left, whether you played right, as long as your ball exited the pattern around that 5-8 board area, you were in good shape. But the second you missed in or it burned up in the heads, then you were getting 7 a lot.
Yep, absolutely. And that was a tough spare to shoot at right there. And I missed my fair share of those, and it's never an easy roll. Nice shot from Dan.
Dan's got that little bit extra room with that side tilt right now, so trying to use it to his advantage. But again, if he were to miss that a few boards left, that one's going dead nose. So trying to paint that picture for those of you watching about just how tough this pattern is. out of 120 bowlers, -2 got you to Sunday's match play round. So it's a little wide.
And he goes wide and gets a lucky trip on that 10 pin.
Fortunate to kick that one out. And that was a big thing this week too. If you missed and you were able to trip out and leave yourself something makeable, you were saving 20, 30 pins a game.
Yeah, you trip the 10 pin out of, 2 10 combinations. I don't know how many I, saw yesterday, but trip a 10 out or, trip a 10 out of a washout, which another common thing. That's got to hook a lot. Yep.
Well, now can Jason take advantage of that error by Dan?
Let's see what he decides to do after those first couple shots.
Again, we thank everyone that's joined us today. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button. It's really quiet in here now. Oh, trips
nice
a 4.
Break there.
Gave that one a little more room, and it still came up the hill. So, wonder if he's going to try to make an adjustment off that again. I always say a trip 4 is a free move.
Yep.
So. Shot looks okay and hooks out.
Right there,
and there it is again, the nice trip out. So fortunate break for Jason.
That could have been really ugly. But you take that, you take your spare and move on. And looks like early on this will not be as high scoring match as the first two.
On the spare, so take advantage of that break, fill the frame. It makes you wonder what kind of move he's going to make now, because Dan still has a decent look. It's just he sent that one wide on 29. He threw a good shot on 30 in the last frame. So got the 10 out. I was wondering about the 10 there because he got that one in with a slight bit of spin, and I didn't know if it was going to face up enough, but he did kick the 10 out there.
Yeah, it looked like from my angle he may have moved left a couple boards. But
it looked a little faster than what he's normally been throwing as well, so might be just a little bit of a move for him.
I think this left lane has been the key so far. You can hit that and you're usually in good shape.
It's a better shot on that lane. So both players are hitting a little bit of a chewed up part of that lane around 10 board, so keep that in mind in the next match. If Brady comes over here and starts throwing urethane, is that going to help him avoid it, or is he going to play left where he's practicing right now and try to go around it?
And not that I'm trying to put a jinx on, but careful of the chop on this spare.
Yes, I think I chopped it twice yesterday.
Well, I can see a little split in it, but that's not what I was expecting.
Now, was that a respot thing? Like, was it, or did it move off of his shot? I didn't see it.
I think that was a respot by the pin setter, which I'm pretty sure you could ask for a respot on it if it didn't move it. If the pins didn't move before it got picked up. But, that was just a miss, unfortunately, either way.
Well, another opening for Jason here. Moved left, gave it a little more room.
That looked pretty good.
Made a really good move, and I think that move should work as well on 29. It's just a matter of how the mids are going to react.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. And if you get it right and it still recovers, that's great. But There's appears to be no left miss for either one of them at this moment.
Well, this could be a big double in the match, because they're starting to become hard to come by. Made the left move. Is it going to hook? Yep.
Got
Good
there,
shot.
made a good shot.
It's a really good shot. It's a hard thing this week as well, is when you're struggling to find the pocket and to find a good look, and then you label a shot off your hand and you're at 10 or swisher 7, and
Yeah.
it's very easy to be frustrated. So, but on the spare.
Oh, careful. And, you know, when you're struggling to get there and you do finally get there, things like that can happen. We're all guilty of, I think you could call that a mental mistake on his part.
Looks like we got some Jason Duran fans in the chat room. Thanks for joining us today. Glad you're watching.
That looks a little left. Wow.
Definitely a little bit of hold room on 30.
Yeah. For sure. And, you know, maybe a good thing for Dan that he finishes on that lane, too. But the way it's looking, the first double is going to win this match.
Yeah, Dan's going to finish on his good lane, and Jason has yet to strike on the left lane, so advantage Dan right now.
Looks okay. Good shot.
Dan gets our first strike on the left lane in this match. Frame 7.
Could be wrong, but it almost looked like he tried to take the hand out of it, which I think was a smart move. Moorehand has not been doing well on that lane yet.
Again, you know, knowing what we know watching these matches, it's going to be interesting to see what Brady does when he takes his 2 warm-up shots on each lane. Because I don't think you could play these two lanes the same right now.
Oof.
Unfortunate there for Jason.
It didn't look too bad, just a little bit left, and said you don't have a left miss right now, it seems. But, you know, still well in this match. If he can somehow find something on that left lane.
Yeah, all you can do here is you got to be in that mode where you got to think, you got to punch out here. Put a little pressure up, at least get this strike here, and then you're going to go up and finish first. And depending on the way the match is going, put a little pressure on him. The left lane.
Same thing again.
The left lane is going to be the decider in this title.
And if you're Brady right now, which I don't think he's been paying attention down here, which I don't blame him, you know. Oh, gave that a run.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do right now on this pair, the way it's looking.
Yeah, you definitely can't play the 2 lanes the same, and again, you know, the advantage has to be with the winner of this match, just because they know what's going on in this pair.
Yeah.
And Brady gets 2 shots.
Looks okay. Yep.
So Dan's gonna take advantage of the openings here and try to put this one away. As Jason can max out at 170, so Dan just needs to keep it on the lane here.
Yeah, fill one of the next 2 frames and can move on, but, you know, strike right here and you can afford to maybe fish a little bit in the 10th frame.
Yeah, this is the important shot here. This is his last shot on 29 in this match, so hopefully he gets some good read off of what happens here.
Wow.
That was a good shot, and the messenger just flies right in front of the 7.
But same thing again. It looks like he's trying to take the hand out of it on 29. And that's helping it at least not read so early. On the spare, and that'll about do it. Just needs some count in the 10th frame.
It'll be really interesting to see which way Brady goes, is either with the urethane or with the reactive in. So he did throw urethane in the position round on this pair.
And when it almost doesn't matter, then you carry that kind of hit right there.
Yeah, you start slinging wood across the deck, and
it's about as fast a messenger as I think I've seen all weekend.
well, normally we kind of step away for a second in between matches, but I think these warm-up shots for Brady are going to be very telling on how this next match goes. I really want to see what he decides to do on both of these lanes. So they're going to have to go set up that 4-pin.
Yeah, and naturally, when the match is now over, that would happen. But they're right on top of it. They didn't even have to call that back.
And they even...
That is, I mean, it did offset it a little, so that's about where it ended up even.
Right. So I think they're still going to... They're going to move it back to the 4 spot, because that looks more like a 2.
It's pretty close, but...
So there we go. Not like it's really going to matter much in the match, so...
Yeah, even with the spare, it is mathematically over already.
But, again, a good showing by Jason. He's going to take home the $2,000 prize. So, a good weekend for him, and safe travels back to what I believe is Colorado is where he's from?
Yeah, I believe somewhere out in that area.
Hopefully, if he took a flight up here, hopefully they find their way out, because it's going to get really windy here. They're talking gusts of up to 60 soon, and then it's going to get really cold. So, not the place you want to get stranded right now.
Welcome to North Dakota in January.
Yes. All right, Dan Langer finishing it up here, and he's going to be taking on Brady Stearns in the championship match. So stay tuned and share the live stream with everyone you know. We're in our championship match of the 16th annual Morris Anderson Memorial Shootout here at North Hill Bowl in Minot. Brady Stearns, Dan Langer in the championship match. Again, go follow us on social media. Our Facebook page has a lot of updates. We will have a complete recap of this event tomorrow on NDBowling.com. And then we will also preview the season's 3rd major, the KFYR TV Bowling Classic, happening next weekend in Mandan. So stay tuned to NDBowling.com for those articles. I know myself and Ken will be participating in that event as well, but we will not be there on NDBowltv, as it will be broadcast on the NBC stations here in western North Dakota. So for those of you who won't be able to watch that one, you can get their complete recap on ndbowling.com as well. Question here is, what pattern are they bowling on? It's a 2.57 to 1 custom pattern put together by the folks here at North Hill Bowl, and it's a pattern that you can get at too with many different angles. You can get there playing in, you can get there playing out, but it's more so of a very speed-sensitive pattern where you need to keep your break point in a certain part of the lane to be successful, and you've seen that here today. So very challenging. Again, -2 made the cut, so anytime you can get a cut at or below even, it's pretty challenging, especially with this strong of a field.
Yep, absolutely. Nick.
So So Brady coming in here, both these players looking to take home their first NDBowling.com major title. We've seen both these players on NDBowltv in the past. I know Brady made our show up in Manitoba one year. Dan's made the show here at the Shootout. I do recall back in, I think it was last year at the Kickoff Classic, where Brady was the only guy throwing urethane, and he laps the field while everyone else is trying to play with reactive stuff in the middle part of the lane. And he wins in the title match, and, you know, for no reason goes and picks up a reactive ball, moves 25 left, and then goes dead flush in the last ball, the fill ball in the 10th, and pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And we have a mention here. There are a couple of teammates. Yeah, as you see on Dan's shirt, there is the Locker Guy team. I know they all bowled out at Nationals in Syracuse with us. Team NDBowling.com was out in Syracuse, and Brady and Chad Nelson and all the guys were out there with, I believe, Francois Lebois on their team.
Yep.
And they bowled really well. And I can't think of where they finished in their team finish last year at the Open, but I know it was.
Yeah, it was a very high finish, if I remember. But interesting by Brady, you can see him moving well inside where everyone else is and trying to kind of slow hook the middle, and a couple shots that looked okay. So.
And his first shot on that lane, he threw urethane to try.
Yep.
So he's trying everything. He's moving around, trying to find the optimal spot here, and we'll see now what he does on 30. But this is the thing here, like when you bowl these tournaments and you're in a qualifying round and you start on one end of the house, every game you got to jump to a different section of the house. It's what makes these players so much better is their ability to not waste frames when they change lanes, and to be able to find it that quick. And that's exactly what Brady's doing here. He's got 2 shots in each lane, and that's the only way he's going to have a chance in this match is if he can figure it out early, because Dan's looking pretty strong right now out there. So.
Yep. I mean, you look at it, Dan did only shoot 2-0. I think it was 205 the last game, but, you know, they are getting decisively tougher than those first 2 matches, and looks like Brady wants to finish on the left lane. My bet is he just doesn't like what looked like a little hang for him for what he was trying to do on the right lane. So, which is consistent with what we've been seeing. So we're underway here in the championship match. If you haven't already, let everyone know we are in the finals here in Minot at the Morris Anderson Memorial Shootout. We will crown a 15th different champion here in a moment. And again, thank you to everyone who has joined us today. Thank you for watching. And if you're on your way home from the tournament, again, travel safe. It's a good opening shot. Looks like he's trying to still do what he was last game.
So it is interesting to note that, you know, Brady did choose to finish on the left lane that we were talking about. So I wonder if when Dan heard that he was okay with it.
I think Dan definitely likes the right lane better. I mean, from the way he was hitting it most of the last game.
And I could see Brady how he threw the one shot on 29 and went high flush and tried to play the same spot on 30, and it had a little bit of a hang. That maybe he likes 29 a little better, but we'll see if he makes a move here. Good shot.
Yep.
I believe he is throwing a web tour. Brady was a Ebonite staffer, so
familiar with most of the stuff he's probably got in the bag.
That is true, and I did see most of his stuff. He's got a lot of the newer equipment from Ebonite.
Good looking shot there.
And I think he's left of whatever chewed up spot there is on that lane, so he's avoiding it, and that's probably why he wanted to finish on that lane. So
probably, and you know, you wonder if he does miss it right, if if he does hit that and it still recovers.
yeah, he's playing enough angle through the fronts that it'll probably still hold pocket. Dan Langer up in the second.
Well,
Fortunate to get 9 there.
breaking up the split, so that's okay. So you got to think soon he's going to have to make a little bit of a move, because doesn't seem like he's had to move very much onto the right lane yet. Careful. All right.
Or as Randy Peterson would say, look out. And it looks like our show will finish up right before the PBA telecast on Fox. So
perfect.
They're going on at 2 o'clock. So perfect timing there for NDBowltv. You guys can watch bowling all day.
Well, another good break. That one really broke loose in the back, but just another spare. I mean, got to figure out a way to get those to fall, but you take spares early and, you know, put a couple strikes together in the middle, you never know.
Yeah, and Brady seems kind of like a man on a mission right now. He's been on NDBowltv quite a bit, still looking for that first major title. You know, and it was mentioned before, these guys are teammates. They bowl a lot of team stuff together, so you know, I think Brady's going to try to shut that out of his mind, and it's all business from here.
You know, you always want to beat your friends the most, it seems. And sometimes that leads to good things, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, sometimes you can get complacent too, so. I'm going to hook. As I say, I think he got a little firm with that one, and it recovered, so. Good shot there for Brady now. Again, take advantage of 29. He seems to like much better, so. Makes you wonder if he's playing them the same.
It's hard to tell. He has a tendency to block it out for me on 30, so I can't really see where he's at, but it definitely seems like he's further left on 29.
Really good ball there.
That was nice. And I think that's definitely what's going on, is he is trying to stay left of all the junk that's you know, out there around 10 that they burned up in the few matches before it.
And the one thing we have learned from Brady Stearns is he knows how to strike. I think somebody made the joke today that newsflash, he finally got less than 9 at one point today. He was.
I think that was Stu. Somebody came by and was saying that Stu made that joke, but it was a good shot from Dan there, and needs to get one here on 29, or he's liable to get blown out here very quickly the way Brady's throwing it.
And again, following this match, we'll get a word with the winner. We'll say farewell to our co-host here, Ken Fletcher, as he's going to make his way back to Fargo, hopefully safely.
You know, safely, just a matter of how long. Oh, you kidding?
My goodness. And that's flashbacks to Zach Wilkins.
Yeah, that 10
3
pin that he
years ago.
left. Wow. That was a huge hit if that would have fell.
And the staff at North Hill Bowl is right on it, as he'll be right on this spare here. And that was a 4-pin, correct? Was that a 4-pin
Yeah, that
converted,
was,
like,
it looks
in
like
front of
it's
the 8?
right in between the 2 and the 8 pin, probably, yeah.
So unfortunate break there for Dan, but
On the spare, and all you can do is hope that, you know, something stands up for Brady if you're Dan, and at least give you a little bit of glimmer of hope.
and again, I think, you know, we alluded to it early in this telecast that left lane is probably going to decide some matches, and it seems to be holding true.
Yep, the person who could figure out the quickest, you know, Dan did last match, and Brady appears to have it so far this match. But we'll see if that still holds up.
Yeah, nice reset. A little bit. It's dead silent in here, so there's believed to be a kid making a sound somewhere, so Brady's just going to reset.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I think a lot of people don't take the time to, you know, if there is something that's bugging you, if it doesn't feel right, just back off. You know,
Yeah, veteran move there.
Stop, reset, you know. We're not in so much of a rush that it has to be done so quick, so take your time.
Yeah, reset and make a good shot, and that's what man on a mission right now. You know, you don't normally see much emotion out of Brady Stearns. It's all business.
But just seems like those first 5 shots that he's, you know, he's locked in, and you know, it's a zone that I think we can both say we've been in, and it's a great thing to have, especially when you're bowling for a title and this kind of money.
Yeah, and I think Brady's also aware that he knows how quickly it can go south on this pattern, so.
A little wide, but see, comes up high flush. That's
locked in.
2 great shots there.
Absolutely locked in. And now if you're Dan, you just got to keep making your good shots on 30, and hopefully you can put together a double here. He's definitely still in this match. But you got to see a double up there. You know, you got to see the pins fall.
And that's not what you want.
Well, it makes it a little tougher for Dan, but, you know, with the matches he's won, he's been making himself some good money on our show, so.
Absolutely. You know, you never know. I've seen things made in this house, so, you know, if it happens, which unfortunately it doesn't, also things have happened. You know, I've seen people start out 5-6 in a row and only shoot 2-0.
Yep.
So, you know, the next 2 frames are going to be the biggest 2 frames for Brady. Just fill your frames, and you'll probably walk away a winner.
Yep, take care of business. Looks like he made a small move left, and I wonder if he's probably kicking himself now for not going a little further left sooner.
Yep. Yeah, you could see it starting to happen, I think, and he just didn't make the move quick enough. But, you know, it's easy to see when we're back here and we're watching everything. It's a lot harder out there to, you know, sometimes pay attention to what's really going on.
Right, and you have a different perspective being up on the line when you throw the ball. You see ball reaction a little bit different from back here.
Yep, absolutely. And he knows it. You could see him kind of pop up out of that. He's like, yeah, that's good.
You know, and Brady does have a 900 to his name, so this guy does know how to strike. I know he's worked very hard on his game over the years.
Yeah, I can remember him, you know, just 3-4 years ago, and it's like, oh, you know, he's pretty good. But these last 2 years or so, it's something to watch.
Yeah, definitely on a whole new level.
Yeah, how much he has grown, you could say.
And we will be seeing this guy more on NDBowltv. You can count on that.
Oh, gets away with one a little left there. I think at this point, what he wants is pretty clear.
Nonetheless, we still have excitement here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to say it because Dan's going for a decent score here. We're not going to talk about Brady's score.
No, I mean,
no kiss of death here.
Dan can still shoot 220, That's nothing to be ashamed about. And I think, we say it a lot. Now 2-0, you take 220 a title match.
I take it every day.
I would take it every day of the week. I don't care what it's on.
But sometimes you run into people like Brady Stearns, and that's just what happens.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure last year in the title match, Matt McNeil took the title shooting 260 over Nick Heilman. So,
yeah, it's just, I would, people say they want the top seed, and I totally agree. Take the top seed all day long. But you sometimes want to be out there, see what's going on, and Dan moving up from the 3 spot, I think that was an advantage for a while, and now it's just insult to injury.
Yeah, well, again, a great tournament for Dan. He's going to take home $2,500 for his efforts and a runner-up Crystal Trophy. So a great tournament for him.
Well, let's see if we can get some more history.
Why not? First 7-10 on NDBowltv. Come on, Dan, what do you
hit
got?
It good. Yeah.
Earlier today, we did see Chad Nelson kick a pin out about 20 feet down the lane. So
I think that was just a lane over on 28, if I remember.
Oh, here we go. Brady Stearns, kind of like a victory lap here.
Pretty close. Yeah.
A little in.
Yeah, he's disappointed, but doesn't matter now.
Yeah, Brady Stearns is going to take home the Morris Anderson Memorial Shootout and $4,000 to go along with his first major title. So we'll get a word with him momentarily.
Still got a frame left to finish up, but
as our competitors will finish up here, and I know people will be eager to get on the road and get back home, as most of these guys are from the Minnesota area and do have quite the traveling to do.
There's still surprisingly quite a few people around here.
Yeah, I know a lot of them kind of all rode together, so at least we're going to have fewer cars out there, but
yeah, you can see his face on that one. A little disappointed in the shot prior, but congratulations to Brady.
very much deserved, because that guy was working all week, and last year he made the show. I'm pretty sure he was a little disappointed to fall to Nick last year, and it just seemed like he was a man on a mission. Started from day one. He had 267 out of the gate yesterday in the qualifying round, followed it up with a 221 and a 237. So, this guy, he knew what he needed to do. It'll be good to visit with him here momentarily to kind of see what his approach was after last season. And again, congratulations to Dan Langer on a great tournament, and he'll take home a nice check.
A nice check and bragging rights over the brother.
Yeah.
That's always a bonus, too.
For those of you joining us, Dan and Dave Langer bowled in the position round in the 3-4 spot. And, on the heels of a 280 game by Rob Warren, jumped him from 10th to the show. So Dave Langer was unable to make the show. But again, good showing by that whole crew. I mean, they all bowled together, and it's easy to see how they've had so much success on the lanes, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And we were saying about how that left lane is going to be the issue, and Brady never missed.
Yep, 7 out of 7. That's impressive.
So a question for you. Now, the earlier matches, do you think people found their good lane to be 30 and tried to play 29 the same? And when Brady came here, he found 29 and tried to play 30 the same? And he got away with more on 30 by playing further left than you would.
You know, it seems like it, but I think he also, I mean, we'll have to ask him this to make sure, but I think he also found, I mean, he did find 30 different, and he may have been playing them slightly different, not much, but, you know, it definitely seemed that they were all trying to play both of them the same when they, I mean, from our point of view, were not.
So we'll see kind of what happens here. Are we going to give away the trophies, or are we going to have a word with Brady first? We'll see what happens here.
Well, he looks to be packing up his stuff, but, you know, we'll get him back here as soon as we can.
Well, looks like we're going to give away some money and some trophies and a cardboard check. Well, what are your overall thoughts on the weekend while we wait for the trophy presentation?
You know, it's a fun weekend to see a lot of different faces, you know, bowl well, make it to the show, you know, guys that we don't normally see. So, you know, from that perspective, it's good to see new guys, and it looks like we're going to get Brady in here as I'm finishing up.
Yep. So, yeah, first time for everything, I guess. All right, welcoming into the booth, Brady, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on winning the 16th Morris Anderson Memorial Shootout. And, you know, like always, let's start with Saturday. Like, you bowled on this pattern before. You made the show last year. You fell to Nick. What was your strategy this year?
Last year, I kind of got into a little bit of trouble right away. I was trying to throw reactive, and I just kind of basically left spares I couldn't make. So then last year, I remember I switched to urethane halfway through, and that's pretty much what I threw all day on Sunday too, just to keep myself out of trouble, try to make spares, because that's everybody knows when you get to Sunday they get a heck of a lot flatter and they're much tougher. So just try to play straight and make your spares, and then that's pretty much what I did today. I threw urethane all day today until that last match.
Sure. And then, so speaking of the equipment, I know you're an Ebonite guy. Ebonite's our official bowling ball sponsor. What kind of equipment were you using today?
Pretty much the purple hammer. That was all day today until that web tour in the final match, and then yesterday was pretty much a purple hammer, and then a Rodman Pearl the last few games when the urethane started to be a little bit too weak. But
and I think him and I would both agree those three are really good pieces in the Ebonite line right now.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
And then going into the last match here, and earlier in the telecast, we noticed how the bowlers really liked lane 30, but when they were throwing on 29, it seemed like they couldn't get left far enough, or they didn't let themselves get left far enough. So what was your strategy going in? You only had 2 shots in each lane, so.
Well, for me, we had position round on this pair, and Jason just had a bad last game for him. He kind of got trapped. I kind of saw it with his ball reaction too, and I was still throwing urethane, and all I had was basically a double, and I think I had an early open, but otherwise I 4-pinned my last 4 shots just to get the top seed. And then after that, I kind of knew the last 2-3 games I was kind of shooting 201-90, but my look was definitely going away. So then once I got to the practice pair, I can kind of throw some reactive balls and kind of see what was there, because I hadn't thrown them all week for the most part. So I just went to the smoothest ball I had and just tried to blend the lane out as best I could. I mean, for me, it was my only game I threw reactive, but I didn't see them too terribly different for me, but I just yipped on that one in the 8th or 9th or whatever it was. That was terrible.
And we did think you were a hair left of most of the players, so you kind of avoided what was most up there for them.
For sure. I kind of felt like when I tried a couple reactive balls and count shots, but I don't think I was far enough left, so I knew I just had to kind of move zones. Plus, I saw that Danny he was a little bit further left than the other two, and his reaction was getting pretty good. But yeah, they started hooking at the end for everybody.
Very nice. Any final thoughts, Ken?
No, just I think you hit everything we needed to, but it's a hell of a last game there to bowl.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having us.
Cool, and
Well,
congratulations once again.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Congratulations, Brady.
Thank you.
And we'll probably see you on NDBowltv again. I hope so.
I hope so.
I'm sure at some point.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. All right, and we'll go get a picture with Brady after we're done here. But, Ken, that about does it for us. So,
Yep.
Any final thoughts on the tournament?
No, just, as always, great ran tournament up here at North Hill. A very deserving champion. I think everyone would agree on that. Just a great tournament all around, and, it's always fun being here. Can we say?
Very nice. I thank you for joining me once again.
Always a pleasure.
And with that, we would like to remind you to connect with NDBowling.com and NDBowltv on social media, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and please hit the thumbs up button on your YouTube player as well as the subscribe button. That does help us a lot. It is free. And we will go live once again in a month down at Sunset Lanes in Moorhead for the NDBowling.com Classic on March 3rd. Again, a big thank you to Ebonite, the official bowling ball sponsor of NDBowltv. Once again, I'm Darren Sini alongside Ken Fletcher. You're watching NDBowltv, the High Plains Bowling Network, saying good night.